Yeah, it was a very wet day for February, and as is trend in the UK, it rained to begin with. And there's no audio for the whole video, as I'm actually a world class cameraman, and I definitely know how to use my GoPro. Well, we saw some churny boats over at Killalay, so we decided to make the long beat up there. It was quite useful as Zach was kind of wobbly on the trapezes first, as you can see, and it did allow for a little familiarization with the boat. Yeah, well, eventually, as the breeze grew, so did his confidence. We were sailing for full power, to be honest. The board was fully down, the mast was as straight as possible. We were just going for a bit of fun, not really anything serious. Honestly, eventually we got her moving pretty well. You know, the sails are fully tight, we're playing upwind, we're making good time for what we were doing. Zach is quite a lot heavier than my usual crew, so we're making quite a good effort to keep the sails fairly tight, hoping to get as much speed as possible out of the boat. As we continued upwind, we threw in a few tacks, and eventually we were nearing Town Rock, as you can see there in the distance. Once again, Zach keeping me busy there by backing the jib, and well, a little hiking never hurt anyone. Obviously, we're still making good time, but as we approached the Killalay trainees, they grew a desire to get off the water. As we approached the trainees, we could feel the fear emanating off them. Obviously, our unsolicited arrival was not welcomed, and we decided it was time to go. Disappointment aside, it was time to keep going. A fair breeze had built by this point, but we were still able to keep her at full power quite comfortably. As we continued to coil past Killalay, a channeling effect from the land actually caused the wind to pick up quite substantially. We decided it was time to go back and hoist the kite. It did take a second to get the kite up, but once it was up, we were actually quite stable. Honestly, it wasn't too bad for being a second hoist on the boat. While most people will struggle with the guy lines and the sheets on their first time, it is quite hard to get the pole up, which has been something a lot of people have told me. Zach making short work of the problem, which is obviously no match to the kilos of protein powder in the back of his car. With the kite set, we were making pretty good progress towards Salt Island. However, we didn't want to go into the lee, so we decided to jibe off and go the other direction. Being fairly new to the whole race jibing technique, I was actually quite surprised to see that it went quite well with Zach for the first time. I didn't really know what to expect, but the idea was that I'd just keep the kite filled throughout. And honestly, that was pretty successful. It only collapsed for a second there on the windward side once we jibed. It was, however, only temporary, as it came back up pretty quick once the pole was set. Now, I'd say that's not too bad for one of, if not the first jibe that we've ever had together. I've known Zach for quite a while, but I've never actually sailed with him. We met at a few ILCA events a few years ago, and I hadn't really heard much from him, but I know that he'd moved on to RS400s, whereas myself had moved on to the Fireball. With three sail reaching being collectively the class's favourite pastime, I thought it would be a shame not to show him why we enjoy it so much. Although he's probably gone faster, I feel like the Fireball might be more exciting on a downwind leg than an RS400. The dynamic of going downwind while hanging onto a wire at ridiculous speeds for such a narrow boat seems far more exciting to me than an isometric kite. Now, that slander aside, I've never actually sailed an RS400, so I still could very easily be proven wrong. It's just my belief and love for the Fireball go a lot further. I mean, just look at it. It's so fast. Everything about it. Now, mind you, it is a lot harder to hoist the kite on a Fireball, but that makes it more satisfying. Alas, all good things must come to an end, and we ended up dropping the kite and going back up to see our friends at Killalay. However, by the time we got there, there actually was no one there. It just seemed empty and awkward. However, here is where the camera died, which is actually really a shame, because our ride back home to East Down was very exciting and very quick, kite reaching the whole way there. Unfortunately, it did actually end up with us swimming, but look, it's a price I'm willing to pay, even if it is in February.